All right, folks, good evening and a warm welcome to you. I'm Citizen Jones, and do note today is the first Friday in the month of December. 23 days to go to Christmas. Interesting. On the program today, House of Reps invites INEC chairman over funding challenge for direct primaries, Kaduna State to sack and prosecute 233 teachers working with fake certificates, and later on, ISWAP launches midnight attack on Rann in Kalabalge local government area of Borno State, just as bandits attack Angwa Gimbia in Sabon Tasha area of the state of Kaduna. They abduct women, children, middle-aged boys and girls. But let's report I'm hanging out with a returning Babajide Kolade-Otitoju. Jide, welcome back.
Thanks. It's good to be
back to
right
days.
Inside the studio on a Friday after a long time.
I just told you it's a mind thing over matter. If you are not here, it'd be like say nothing don't happen.
Thank you. And,
but good as you're back.
The good thing is, since I'm back, you will now honor your word. You know what I mean.
Adekunle Yusuf, don't. It's cheap blackmail.
No, if you
when he comes back, when the man travels and comes back, we know there's money.
When you make a promise, you have to.
Yes. Oh, you are siding him.
Yes. I'm not siding him.
Adekunle Yusuf is also here. So the team is ready. I hope you are. All right, then let's set out. You know, one very daunting challenge for the democratic process in sub-Saharan Africa is perhaps election and campaign funding. Recall that the National Assembly stirred the hornet's nest when on November 9, it passed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, mandating every political party to adopt the direct primary method of choosing candidates to stand for elections. Now, the National Assembly desires to go a notch higher by approving a loan for the federal government to fund the election should the budget exceed 500 billion naira. Consequent upon this, therefore, the House of Reps has invited the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, to appear before it. Remember, the bill was transmitted to Mr. President for assent by or on December 19. We should cross the Rubicon for once, Jide.
Yes, and the pressure is on. Pressure is being mounted on the president to give his assent. It shouldn't be like what happened in 2019 when, after all the hard work, after all the public hearings and all that, and all the input that INEC and other stakeholders made, the president refused to give his assent. His excuse or his explanation was that it came too close to the election. Now, in this case, we can't be talking about it being too close to the election. The election is still sometime next year. And there are some revolutionary, if we can use that word at least to flatter INEC, some revolutionary initiatives have been brought into the Electoral Act. Yes, so people want to see electronic transmission of results because they know that it's the paper trail that enables politicians to rig in the manner in which they rig. They will hijack the result. They will hijack the result along the way to the local government collation centers.
Okay.
Swap
boxes.
Swap, no, not boxes. Swap the form EC8A, which is the form on which results are written. They swap it with already filled ones. And they are so good at evil that even when INEC introduces all kinds of security features to those forms, to those documents, that it uses.
They still had
politicians are still able to clone those documents. So INEC has now found a way to put as many security features as possible to make life difficult for these would-be riggers. Now we have the beavers, we have the electronic transmission. INEC is trying to modernize its processes, and it has every reason to, because INEC also benefits from funding from donor agencies who want to see the electoral process in our country improve. So if, as INEC, you are not making moves to sanitize the process, to ensure the fidelity of our elections, then the funding may not come.
Okay.
So INEC has its reasons for being resolute about some of these ideas that it is introducing, because it knows that that is the gateway to some level of foreign funding for it. You know, a lot of people may not know this, but this is the truth. Now, we have the electronic transmission of results. We want to see that happen. But if the president does not give his assent for any reason, then we will have to go to the next election without
not too many
with
safety
valves. With the old electoral law, which in our view enables politicians to rig at will. So we want to see that the direct primary is just one of the items. You know, yes, it's very important, and it's probably the reason the president is still consulting, still taking his time before giving his assent.
But I do remember that Mr. President had said he was going to leave something indelible. And I think if he assents to this bill, it would have been.
I think so too.
It would have been a fait accompli.
I think so too, because the electronic transmission thing, for anyone familiar with the way we rig election in our country, you would be convinced that this electronic transmission of results would do us a world of good. It will make it extremely difficult for rigging to take, because you and I will be able to monitor the election and include election results, you know, from polling station to polling station. We can then monitor it, you know, without...
And then a level of persuasion on the part of the elector will become enhanced.
Yeah.
So the system is becoming...
And the more elections get credible, the more people develop faith,
and people
will come out on election day and vote. Yes, rather than see it as fait accompli.
Because the cynic will say, if votes decided outcome of elections, they would make a law to ban it and so on. But here we are, INEC, like the father figure, you know, he's trying to modernize the home, but some crazy kids are saying no. It is now or never.
And that's not unexpected, because in our climb, the kind of politicians you have, it's about self-interest. That's the game of politics. And we just need to find a balance between the limit of self-interest and the collective interest. So in this matter, the president has the final say in this matter now.
And as he said, as Jide said, Mr. President
I don't
is
think there
intense
is
pressure. But you agree with that.
Yeah,
and this is the season.
The point I was trying
the president has the big say. I don't think he has the final say.
Because
they can veto. They can override this veto.
His assent.
They can.
Some of them are already suggesting that.
In theory, they can. They've not done it in recent times.
I think they did it for Obasanjo sometime.
And I'm sorry, not this kind of legislation that we have. I'm sorry, I don't think that can happen.
But is it not crazy to think that the APC is in power, and at the National Assembly it has a majority? So it should be good news for for the APC.
Yes, it's but
ordinarily.
But ordinarily, even when the PDP were in the power, you don't expect all the PDP to think the same. There are even caucuses and interest groups within the APC, and which is normal. And not everybody will, see things
healthy
the same
for
way.
democracy.
So that's democracy. All of us cannot see things the same way. And you have your say, I have my say, but eventually, when you put things to vote, the best, So in this matter, what I'm expecting, the president to do is to consider the interests of Nigeria. He has said it, that he will consider the economic and political implication of this. And Nigerians are really waiting. Today is December 3rd, and he has
to 19th.
19th of this month, which is not far away. We want to see what we do. There are big forces. There are big forces. When governors come together, they are a powerful bloc. Now, the National Assembly, when they come together as on this matter, they're also a powerful bloc. So we want to see who carries the day.
but we want to see Nigerians carrying the day at the end of the day.
Whether you like democracy,
democracy,
carry the day.
Yeah.
In each of these,
contentions,
issues, you frame it, Nigerians this, and this will also frame it. Interest is a big problem in politics.
Yeah. The National Assembly, it would appear to me, I may be wrong, wants to go the whole hog. That's why it's saying to INEC chairman, come, if it is money that's the wahala, we will find a way around it.
They are desperate this time. See, people have got to fully understand why this is happening. I see a lot of people analyze this matter and refuse to explain exactly where this whole problem began. Either out of love for a particular political party or our habitual character, habitual nature of abbreviating the truth. This whole problem began from the ward congresses of the APC. When federal lawmakers got to their states, and a good number of them discovered that they had been quarantined by their governors. Not even their supporters could vote. So, is that democracy?
Okay.
Is that democracy?
And in this case, internal democracy.
It is not democracy.
Within the party.
It is not internal democracy. It is not democracy at all. If we are in the same party, we are organizing World Congress, it starts from the world, and then incrementally you get to the convention. If governors now ensure that federal lawmakers coming to their state do not have a say at all, now what that means is they can't even be re-elected. They won't be candidates of their parties. A good number of them know now that the die is cast.
Because they won't have been popularly elected.
They'll be shut out totally. Once you are shut out at the level of the ward.
Wow. It's good night.
What is it again? You are shut out. You don't have a base. Look at what happened to Oshomole and later the chairman of the PDP Secondus. It was at the ward that in Ikuru that they chased Secondus out of the party, literally.
In the local government,
yes, that's what
local government.
It was actually the PDP actually borrowed the idea from the APC. So now governors playing God decided to shut out these federal lawmakers. A good number of them got back home during the World Congresses and discovered that they've been thoroughly dealt with. Yes. They now felt, okay, how do we then save ourselves? Politics is an interest-driven game. How do we then save ourselves? Let's make this thing an all-comers affair. A governor shouldn't just sit somewhere and then write names to the exclusion of the rest of us.
That's it.
That's where it all began. They are looking for a way, and you can see there is governors who are running from pillar to post because the power to determine delegates singularly, the power to determine who succeeds them, the power to determine who goes to National Assembly, the power to determine who is even speaker of the legislature in their state, whereas it's those guys who should actually oversee the affairs. Governors want to retain all of that power, so that's why they are the ones piling pressure on the president. Now, don't sign, there's so much money, don't sign. The unfortunate thing is, today's governors, today's power people who are governors, tomorrow they will end up in the National Assembly. The things that they refuse to fight for as governors because they were enjoying the power,
that's it.
Sheepishly, when they are in the National Assembly, you now see them completely new people fighting for such things. So the lawmakers are battling for their political future, political lives. I like the fact that you call it lives, because look, one of them told me that look, they did not know that we were going to pass this thing before calling a meeting. They called a meeting, a caucus meeting, you know, with the APC leadership, president. But ahead of that meeting, they quickly passed the bill the morning of that meeting, so that you cannot stop. Then some of them are saying that if the president fails to give his assent, they decide to use the veto.
All right, we are
they did it during Obasanjo's time, where their interests, because you know the war now, you know why I think that they could use it this time. The way it is now, having pushed the governors through sleepless nights, the way the governors will ensure that they don't come back, they know it, they know what's at stake.
And believe me, a lot of negotiations are going on over this matter between governors, between legislators, and all over. And some of them are, even I've seen people who say if they can be given, you know, right of first register, some of them are ready to back.
But some governors would rather even make sure that, I know some big governors, I mean, I know some big lawmakers that governors have made up their mind. Whether they like it or not, they are not coming back. So how do you convince those people that do not support, do not support, what's it called, direct primaries? It's a matter of survival. Look at Gombe. Look at what happened to the former governor of Gombe. They didn't even allow him to enter his town.
I have Adekunle Yusuf's namesake waiting in Port Harcourt.
Okay.
Kule, good evening to you.
Good evening.
I'm sorry we kept you waiting. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right then.
I want to greet everybody in the studio.
We greet you.
Thank you. We salute you too.
Good evening.
Welcome. Let's go. Time.
Yes, thank you very much. I greet everybody in the studio. And I want to especially greet Fujile and congratulate you for the award.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yeah. I like with what the National Assembly is doing. The only problem this country has, and they are just 36 people, the state governors. They refuse to develop their state. When they get there, they become so powerful that they want to even ask God questions. Like the woman of Babel in the Bible. If they have opportunity, they want to torpedo God. So it's good that I personally have been praying for who will checkmate them.
Yeah.
And I'm happy National Assembly is rising up to their duty.
Yeah.
And I pray Mr. President will sign that bill so that we will have some of sit down and develop their state.
Yeah. Kunle, I hope you are a prayer warrior. So, but let's say the president is listening.
Plenty of anointing.
Plenty of anointing. Thank you for your time. And this will just about do it for our first story. But again, Mr. President, we hear the ball is in your court. And you have...
May God give him the wisdom to do what's right.
And yeah, you know, it's now or never. Okay, let's go to Kaduna now. You know, these are not the best of times for Kaduna state authorities. The running battle between Governor Nasir El-Rufai and teachers appears to have come to a head. The Kaduna State Universal Basic Education Board, KATSUBEB for short, is set to kick as many as 233 teachers on its payroll. Their crime is teaching with fake certificates. They are to face the full wrath of the law as a result. We recall that in April, the KATSUBEB undertook a verification to ascertain if all teachers in the employ of the state had requisite qualifications. Now, board chairman Tijani Abdullahi sure has his hands full. Can he go the whole hog? Okay, we expect him to join us by Zoom. That's the chairman of KATSUBEB. Good evening.
No.
Oh, okay, we are not joining him now. But Yusuf, you see him going the whole hog?
Yes, I do.
233 teachers.
Yes, I do. Reason, if you look at the antecedent of Governor El-Rufai, when he confronted these same people, teachers at some point, he said he would reform the sector. You see the national opera and everything. He did what he needed to do. And eventually he employed, I think, 25,000 teachers at the time to replace. So you may say a lot about his style and whatever, but on some issues, Governor
You're on the same page with him.
Governor El-Rufai, if he wants to do something, he doesn't bow to anything. He will do it. So this time around, believe me, he sends a very bad message about our system, that if you know the process it takes to get employed in the public service, you will know that it's not an easy thing. So how did you beat the system? That's what baffles me.
How did you beat the system?
How did they beat the system? Is it
233?
233. And many people may not bother to hear how many of them, just 233. But the implication of the damage they will be doing, because they are to mold the future of
innocent children.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this
young minds.
When a tout, because that's the way I see a certificate forger, or you see a criminal molding the future of innocent children. That's serious. So I want the governor to go the work fully with him on this one.
Jide, but there's a problem here. You know, this wahala is giving birth to by our system that is heavily certificated, bring certificate. And you know, Nigerians, if you want a master's degree, then you go backyard while you wait here, and they bring and come give you.
And because we've got to find a standard, we can't simply engage all comers as teachers. We've got to look at people who have the requisite qualification. And in this case, we can see that 13 schools, these people were brandishing, about 451 of them were brandishing certificates from 13 schools. 9 of those schools have been contacted and they've responded. And the painful thing is, just one of those schools disowned 212 certificates. Yes. That's the Teachers Institute, NTI. You know, the headquarters is in Kaduna. The National Teachers Institute, the headquarters is in Kaduna. You know, so if you are brandishing an NTI certificate, that's where you are trained and all that, and it is fake, then it's bad enough. So if the government wants to go the whole hog and hand them over to the Ministry of Justice for prosecution, I think there's nothing wrong
because
about
it's
that.
not just enough to kick them, you know. Let them face the law.
So that others can learn.
That's it.
That's what the others can learn. We can't have a situation in which people will flout our laws and then get away with it. I'm happy that even the NUT, that over time had always disagreed with this governor, has said, look, if anyone is parading a fake certificate, we are not going to get involved. They are not going to get involved.
Yeah.
So let that person face
the
prosecution. But if you are sure of your certificate and you have been listed among such people, then we can interface on your behalf with the government of the day. So that is where we are. You know, you just have to do your best to ensure that our children get the benefit of the best form of instruction.
That's it.
Because that's how, it is not how beautiful the schools you build. It is not the beautiful schools that matter. It is the quality of instruction. If we do not get the quality of instruction right, honestly,
every other thing
we'll turn out how big.
Okay, we'll go on a commercial break. At least make some money. Please bear with us. We'll be back shortly. All right, then, we're still in Kaduna, and it's time to join the Director of Human Resources at KATSUBEB, Alhaji Tijani Abdullahi. Brother Ahmed, good evening to you. Yeah, Head of Human Resources at the KATSUBEB. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine. And you?
Good.
I'm good.
All right. These are not the best of times for you and you at KATSUBEB. So with this thing on your plate, where do we go from here? 233 teachers.
Yes, and I know will be more on the way because the process is an ongoing thing. Our process of validation of certificates is an ongoing thing. It's just one of the tools that we use to improve the quality of our teachers and thereby improving the learning outcomes of our pupils. It's one of the strategies that the board undertake normally. It is not an annual thing. It's a normal ongoing process. Every time we take certificates of some of our teachers, we send them for verification and authentication from the institutions they claim to come from or to acquire the certificates. And when we get the feedback, we act on it. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, but what's gladdening to us is the fact that you are not just kicking them. I mean, that's relieving them of their teaching jobs. You are taking them to court.
Of course.
You don't think that will ruffle feathers?
No, not at all. Not at all. Forgery is a crime against the law of the land. It's a crime against humanity. It's a crime against even the pupils that were entrusted in those teachers' hands. And so we believe the full wrath of the law should be enforced to serve as a deterrent to others.
Yeah.
Because the negative implication or the implication of this forgery is in some ways part of the effect that we are seeing in the deterioration of the learning outcomes of our pupils, and also part of the deterioration of the prestige of teaching and the prestige of a teacher. In such a way that you see people who forge their certificates, they contracted the teaching job to some other people because they know they don't have the stuff. You can't give what you don't have. And so it's a vicious cycle. We have to break it. We just have to break it.
Oh yeah, how soon do we expect to see the suspects in court?
Well, as soon as the Ministry of Justice and the prosecutor's office do their due diligence, ours is to hand them over and hand over their documents and everything. And the State Ministry of Justice and the Department of Public Prosecution will do the needful. We can't put a timeline to that, but at least we will do our best immediately.
Well, I got information that 212 of these fake certificates were in respect of just one institution. That 212 of them, paraded the certificate of one institution. What is the implication of this? What does this tell you?
It tells us that there is a cartel nesting in some of our institutions of learning. And such cartels work in like a syndicate manner with people both in and out, people supporting them with information and people processing that information inside. And it also tells us that innocent Nigerians, innocent citizens are being scammed. Because to get such certificate, fake certificate, we just don't want to even hazard a guess on how much it will cost them, or it costed them at the point they did it. So a lot of illicit transactions are being done under the table and below the radar of such institutions. It's a wake-up call for us. It's also a wake-up call for the institution. We will write and to sensitize them and to support them in whatever way that we can, because we have the records of these people parading fake certificates. We have their locational addresses and so on based on their employment records. If the school wants us to avail them, we will do that, those things. And I believe the institution will also take it up with the law enforcement agents to do an internal introspection, because it shows that something endemic is really festering them without their knowledge.
Alhaji Sani, quickly, but don't you think it is also proper to go after the syndicate?
Well, what we do is we do what is within our powers.
Okay.
And then we inform the law. The law enforcement agents have the mandate to go after anybody, anywhere. So we will stick to our mandate and exercise it appropriately.
Can we talk about the competency test that Kaduna State intends to institute as a routine, as something that is routine? The LUT is thoroughly against it and has told the teachers to not get involved in any form of a competency test. Where do you stand now on that issue?
Did they get that? Okay, mine is Adekunle, you see, mine is going after the certificate racket ring. It's important. I know it's not an easy thing, but that's what I meant by going the whole hog.
That's a very, complex thing. But it can be done.
You can crack it.
Yes, but not Kaduna alone, because if you need to solve this problem, it should be a nationwide thing. I think every state should borrow this idea from the
Lagos used to have Oluwole, am I right?
Yes. During investigation,
Did they say it's still there? Not true.
Not as before, anyway.
Okay.
But before I was there, as an investigative reporter.
Yeah.
I did the PhD result, certificate. All this. Ordinarily, I would have loved to ask him that if this is happening, don't we need to strengthen the recruitment process we have in place? Because this is better done at the entry level. You get my point?
Yeah.
Then
from you crack it from source.
Yes. Instead of when the damage had been done. How do you, for years of service, the children who are victims, nobody can compensate them.
I hear Ahmed Sani is back. Can you hear us, sir?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so sorry, Jide asked a question.
Did you hear my question?
Yes, I get your question, Jide, very well. Okay. I just did a slight correction of perspective.
Okay.
Put things in perspective.
Okay.
Now, our stand is government has directed us to conduct competency test, which is a routine instrument that government used to identify the skill and knowledge gaps of our teachers, so that we can be better informed of the training needs or further educational enhancement. This tool is just one out of many that the government has directed us to use. It was used in 2017 to fish out some incompetent teachers that were about 21,000 that were replaced with about 25,000. Now, our belief is that education being dynamic, you cannot afford to stand still. You have to sharpen your skill and sharpen your knowledge all the time. And examination has always been the best form of identifying the skill and knowledge gaps. And that's what we are using it for. Our main objective is to help us identify where our teachers are weak, where we need to complement them with training, or capacity building, or where we need to even encourage them to go for further education.
But the IUT is saying that the teachers should not get involved in any competency tests. That's why I'm asking, where are you?
I'm coming. Okay. I'm coming. The NUT expressed in our stakeholder engagement, which we had several times with the NUT and other critical stakeholders. NUT expressed their discontent and their concerns. Their discontent arose from the experience of the 2017 competency test, where incompetent teachers were sacked. And their grounds is with the mandate. They thought the Kaduna State Master Basic Education or the Kaduna State government as employer of labor don't have the mandate to conduct competency tests. That misperception was blown away. We were able to explain to them as best as we can. When they insinuated that TRCN were best mandated to do that, TRCN brought their mandate and showed them that competency test is not part of them. What they are mandated to do is administer professional qualifying examination, PQE. And so all their fears, they said something about what will be the fate of the ones that failed. We asked them, how do you encourage your teachers to approach examination from failure perspective? Why don't you ask us what is the benefit of those who passed? Because this competency test is based on the syllabus of primary school pupils that were taught by those teachers. So you are a teacher, and a teacher in primary school is a class teacher, not a subject teacher. A class teacher who teaches at least 4 or 5 basic subjects. So we are testing them using the syllabus of the primary school that they have been teaching for the past 6 or 7 or whatever years. And the NUT, so the NUT's position was weak. Their arguments were all debunked. And as far as we are concerned, we are going ahead with the conduct of the competency test, and we will still stick to our objective of identifying skill and knowledge gaps to help us in addressing it with training and further education. And if and we are calling on teachers, we have severally called on teachers to respect their oath of loyalty to the citizens of Nigeria, to respect the pupils that they are teaching, and to come out and do this examination, to know that NUT is a union that is founded by law only to support them bargain with one voice. NUT are not their employers. And it is within the right of the employer to test his employees.
Yeah. Alhaji Sani, the coming days are not going to be easy for you, but we wish you Godspeed.
Thank you very much.
We're getting used to that already.
All right. Alhaji Ahmed Sani is by definition the Director of Human Resources at the Kaduna State KATSUBEB, if you see what I mean. Okay, we go to our next story. You know, the hearts of well-meaning Nigerians, including our humble selves here, are definitely with the people of Borno State, the seeming epicenter of insurgency in our country. The Islamic State in West Africa province, ISWAP, we are told, have attacked Rann. That's in the Kalabarge local government area of the state in a deadly midnight attack. Also, bandits ran riots at Angwa Gimbia in Sabo Tasha area of Kaduna State. Women, children, middle-aged boys and girls were abducted. How more grim, Jide, can a situation be?
Yeah, it's easier imagined what people are going through in Kaduna State, and in Borno State. The ISWAP terrorists came in around 1:30.
Yeah.
They are changing 1:30 a.m. They are changing tactics all the time so as to catch the army by surprise and be able to steal their weapons. They've lost a lot of their weapons to bombings by to Kano and other air platforms. So they are desperate to steal weapons. So they came 1:30, but they paid with their lives. About 16 of them died, and we lost two officers. But what this should tell the army is that they have to be vigilant at all times, whether it is daytime or nighttime. The enemy can show up at any time.
Eternal vigilance
is the price of liberty. And in Kaduna, we can see that these guys too are not relenting, because they also came at the time when people were watching Manchester United deal decisively with Arsenal.
Here you go.
That was the time that these people came to attack people, and even extremely poor people. Some of them living in uncompleted buildings, they still took them away. You know, you can imagine the poorest of the poor becoming victims of banditry in our country. I mean, it's just terrible.
And to ferry middle-aged boys and girls into abduction is something I cannot imagine.
Unfortunately, some of these victims, when they return,
they won't be the same again.
They are not going to be the same again. That's the point I wanted to make.
Psychologically and otherwise.
Even those that may not return may have been converted to bandits or whatever they want to call them. So it's sad, because I don't know the best strategy that we should use now, because all that the country we have achieved positively, these people have a way of always.
Let me ask a question like a cynic. You get told that governors are very powerful individuals. Are we saying that all 19 of them in the north, we can't subdue them? Am I being cynical?
When you are talking about this level of insecurity, the governors can try, but I'm sorry, this is not a small crisis.
Their power no reach.
This is not a small crisis. This is not a small crisis. If it's a crisis that can just be fixed overnight, I'm sure the governor of Niger State will never hesitate to, you want people to applaud, clap for you. You know what is happening in the state. Boko Haram, what do we call them? They're having, territories. The state government said it. You get my point? If the governors are to believe they are powerful, if they are truly are, that governor will want to
crack
overrun. Yes.
Crack
so that the whole world can applaud him. That no, you are good. But he's not capable of doing it. The governors are
the excuse always is he does not command troops and blah 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 blah.
That's a fact. They are chief security officers of their state. Many of them, or let me say, some of them are doing very well supporting the federal security.
Chief logistics officers. That's how I describe them. Chief security logistics officers in their states.
In fact, Jide is very, I love that. They are not really chief security officers of their executive. They are chief executives of their state, but they are not chief security officers. Because who becomes, commissioner of police, who takes over
is not determined by him
at all,
or the garrison commander,
security commands that are many in each state. They are and unfortunately the state government provide the bulk of funds to make these security organizations, perform.
But again, still sounding cynical. This is the age of we are in a knowledge-based economy, so we can talk gadgetry and so on. Is it difficult to really track them?
It's not difficult, but they too are perfecting their craft all the time. They are getting better all the time. When we decided to ban telco services, suspend telco services in the Northwest, some of these boys began to use their Turaya. Some of them relocated to communities close to the border with Niger Republic and began to use the telco services of Niger Republic to call people inside Nigeria. Yes. Orange, or what is that one called? You use Orange, call people inside Nigeria to work. Paralyzing, it made the problem even more paralyzing because the victims could not communicate, but the aggressors were able to communicate using the telco services of a neighboring country. All of the majority of those areas in Sokoto State now, where these bandits now have territories, they are located close to the border. So it's looking like an intractable problem. We are killing them, but they are recruiting more people. Look at ISWAP. The people that were killed in Kalabalge today, they said they look like Sahelian mercenaries, which means that these people, some of them are probably Chadians or Nigerians.
Essentially, they are soldiers of fortune.
Yes, mercenaries, just out to get paid, to go and fight. A lot of them are Chadian rebels who are now idle. Even the people who came to kill, the fighters who came to kill the president of Chad, it was discovered that a lot of them were mercenaries from Mali and the rest. So unfortunately for us, we are not far away from the epicenter of crisis. Mali, Mauritania, all of this. So they will always find soldiers of fortune who can fight on their side. So when the president said, when will they finish? We've been killing them. The answer is, there are people who can come in from, to come and fight on the side of ISWAP. But we should not relent. One day we'll finish killing them.
Hopefully.
But we won't finish talking about them.
We won't.
That's our work.
They won't.
When issues happen, we have to talk about them.
All right. I hear we must pack everything in and go.
There's even a party, end of year party of TVC waiting for us at Bamura.
But that's good for the soul,
Yes, I'm sure people are waiting for me there.
For a cup of water.
I know the way citizen is feeling now.
Especially being a Friday.
Yes, I know the way citizen is.
Thanks for coming.
He's the first person to call me to the bar.
Mood as we speak.
He called me to the bar. In 2013, Ikosi Bar.
The Ikosi Bar.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was officially called to the bar.
So
at Ikosi.
So you are properly decorated.
Yes. Except that I don't wear the wig of a lawyer.
Oh, here we go again.
Well, I had my own call to bar ceremony.
So that will just about do it for today. But if you missed the program from the top, again, the program is on Sunday from 1:30 for a 2-hour show. Join us then. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Citizen Jones. And so on behalf of the Backroom Boys, BKO and Adekunle Yusuf, it's take care of yourself. Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. Observe that. Bye-bye now.